What advice would you give your 30-year-old self? Hi, welcome to PlanAssist Podcast. I'm Tim Clifford. I'm a certified financial planner. I've been in the business for almost 30 years, 35 years, and I've done a variety of roles, starting as a trader on the Chicago Board of Trade, or as a runner, then a phone person, trader in the commodity business. I spent about a decade doing that and realized that I was making a lot of money, but I was losing a lot of money. So I wasn't building wealth, and that kind of shifted me into the stock side of the business. And I spent the last 20 years in for the most part, in the equities and stock business. Back in the 90s, I was a stockbroker. We didn't have financial planners at that particular time. Went to Schwab and then ended up in an executive role at Ameriprise. Leaving Ameriprise in 2012, I was kind of early 50s, so too young necessarily to retire, and I was kind of looking at what I wanted to do. And I ended up going down the path of starting Core Wealth Consultants with the idea of helping people both grow wealth and maintain wealth. That was my primary goal. And what I found was I needed to come up with a way to help solve people's problems. And I understood, based on what it really comes from Charlie Munger, is that you can't help people until they're almost there. And that means they kind of need to know that they need help. They need to be almost there. So from that kind of basic viewpoint, I started down the path of identifying what were some common denominators that some of the people that I know who are really successful, who's built really decent amount of wealth and maintain that wealth, and then still have some kind of work-life balance in their lives. And I thought, well, maybe I could create a process that could identify kind of what are the common denominators. And then I did kind of the second thing that I feel like was probably equally important, is identifying what those people do to build wealth and maintain wealth. I then wanted to invert it. And again, you can tell I'm a big Charlie Munger fan. Is one of the things Munger talks about is, okay, what is the opposite of what I need to do in order to be successful? If I really want to live my life where I blow my life up financially, blow my life up personally from a life work balance, what are some of the things I need to do? And what was interesting through that process is I found there were kind of three things that came out on both ends of that spectrum. And that was have a plan. So if someone really wants to succeed financially and maintain wealth and grow wealth, they need to have a plan. That doesn't mean it needs to be really a 35-page PDF document that you don't ever read. It can just be as simple as a here-there plan, but they need to have some kind of a strategy that's thought out, put on a piece of paper, and shared with their significant other. The second is diversification, and I'll touch on that. That's more a nuance, because to build wealth, you probably need to be concentrated, but to maintain wealth, diversification. So that's more a kind of phase in life and where you're at, and I can go into a lot more detail on that on different calls and different podcasts. But for the most part, it's diversification is the key to maintaining wealth. And then lastly is seek counsel. And I really struggled with this one because ended up calling it seek counsel, but I get feedback all the time from people that'll say, no, it shouldn't be seek counsel. People don't want counsel. Maybe it should be advice, or maybe it should be input. Whatever you want to call it. I don't know if seek counsel is the right word for you, but don't think of it as seek counsel in the sense of sitting down with someone, them selling you something, and you saying no, yes or no. Think of seek counsel as making sure that you're getting input from a variety of different people and or places. In today's world, AI would count as part of that seek counsel. You're not looking to be told what to do. You're looking to get different perspectives and making sure that you understand kind of best case scenario, worst case scenario in a particular financial decision. And then you've really thought through the prioritization of making that decision. So in what order are you doing it? So a lot of times really good financial decisions can be made, but if they're done in the wrong order, they're an absolute disaster. And that's part of that whole have a plan and seek counsel. So I found that those three primary strategies or principles kind of applied to both ends of that spectrum. So people who are very unsuccessful have figured out a way to, and I'm not talking about people who have a health issue or have some really unlucky situation in life. I'm talking about people who are more than capable of building wealth, had good jobs, had good opportunities, but they blew it. What are some of the things that they didn't do? And that was have a plan. They absolutely weren't diversified once they'd actually built some of their wealth. And then they were just absolutely horrendous at seeking counsel. And then the opposite is true with people who I find are successful. So what I'm going to do, that kind of sets up the fundamentals of what I'm trying to do with this PlanAssist. And so what I'm going to do is, based on that, I'm going to interview people I know and people I don't know, but successful people who are likely in their late 50s, 60s, and 70s. And I'm going to start off with one question. What advice would you give your 30-year-old self? That's really where I'm going to start the conversation, and then I'm going to let it build from there. And you think about that 30-year-old self, them talking about that, and then having a conversation around, was there any particular event that occurred that caused them to rethink their financial perspective or what they thought about building wealth, and kind of, was there any events that occurred that helped them do it, and or kind of were barriers in building that wealth, and then we'll just kind of let the conversation unfold from that perspective. So I look forward to having you on these future podcasts. That gives you a little bit of an overview of what I'm going to try to do with it. I'm going to do it periodically. I'm going to start off with probably weekly, and just get 10, 12, 15 people who are successful, ask them that question and have a conversation around what they would do if they were giving their 30-year-old self financial advice. And then I'm going to kind of quickly build it into, well, what would you do today? What's your view of AI? What's your view of technology? Where do you think the future's going? So those are going to be some of the key things I'm going to have a conversation about. And I look forward to you coming along with me on this adventure. So please subscribe and like, and then if you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe. But I look forward to having you at least for the first few podcasts, and getting feedback and telling me kind of what I need to do different. With that, have a great day, and I look forward to hearing from you.